ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਸਟੇਟ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਇੱਕ ਬਹੁਤ ਫੇਮਸ ਕਹਾਵਤ ਹੈਗੀ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਕੁਝ ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਬਾਕੀ ਮੁਲਕ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਕਿਸਮ ਦਾ ਰਸਤਾ ਤਿਆਰ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਰੇਸਿਸ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਕਰੀਬੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਰਹੇ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਇਸ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹਨ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਡਾਇਰੈਕਟਲੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਪਹੁੰਚੇ ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਸਟੇਟ ਤੋਂ from the campaign trail joining us this evening. Please welcome Mr. Nathan Hochman, running for Attorney General of California. Mr. Hochman, first of all, welcome to the program. Sat Sri Akal.
Thank you very much for having me on.
You are literally in the middle of the campaign trail. Thank you for stopping off on the side of the road and joining us. It's a very busy day. It's been a very busy weekend for you indeed. First of all, Mr. Hochman, you have a campaign for the Attorney General of the great state of California. The last time we heard any notoriety surrounding this position, that individual became the Vice President. Current Vice President, obviously, Kamala Harris, was also a former Attorney General of California. Mr. Hochman, you've had a background at the federal level. You served several years as former Assistant Attorney General of the United States under the Bush administration back in 2007 when your appointment took place. Tell us a little bit about what those years have added to your repertoire that you hope to bring should you get elected Attorney General of California.
Well, thank you again for having me on. So I'm a lifelong Californian, grew up in Los Angeles, had a chance to go to Stanford Law School, came back to Los Angeles after that and worked as a federal judge's clerk and a federal prosecutor, went after drug dealers, gang members, international money launderers, ran the environmental crime section and went after air, sea, and land polluters. And then 10 years later, President George W. Bush appointed me to be the Assistant U.S. Attorney General to run the U.S. Department of Justice's tax division in Washington, D.C. I had 350 lawyers who worked for me, a $100 million budget, and we went after tax cheats across the nation. I was unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate. Came back to Los Angeles and was the head of two major international law firms' government investigations divisions, and was the president of the LA City Ethics Committee. And the reason I apologize for the...
no worries.
There we go. The reason I give you this background is that I believe someone needs to be qualified for the position. You know, I come from a strong family. My father was from Canada. I have a brother and two sisters. My wife now of over 29 years, 3 children in their 20s, all grew up in California. And we love California. We want to stay in California. But the safety and security of California has gone in the wrong direction for the last couple of years. Whether it's hate crimes, violent and street crimes, whether it's fentanyl poisonings that'll kill more Californians, literally 17 on average today, than probably COVID will. These are crimes, these are safety and security issues that our current Attorney General has failed to address. And I, with my 30 years of experience, seek to actually bring back safety and security to our communities.
Right. Mr. Hochman, you're talking about crime and, we're seeing pictures of how you've been engaging with the Sikh community up and down the state. Most recently, you were at the Yuba City Nagar Kirtan this past weekend. When it comes to crime, especially hate crime, this is something that is of serious concern for the Sikh, the Punjabi community that resides in the state. Can you tell me some specific steps you would take, especially in regards to Proposition 47 and 57? Any reforms that you can share with us today that you feel would help ease the increasing crime statistics, especially on the hate crime side that we're seeing day by day?
Certainly. So I've had the wonderful opportunity to meet with the Sikh community. I've met with them in Riverside, Orange County, in Fresno County, up in Stockton, and then most recently in Yuba City. And I bring 30 years of working against hate criminals to the task. And the reason, what I learned 30 years ago, actually from my father, who did it for 50 years, is that you have to partner, minority communities, and I come from the Jewish faith, need to partner with other communities if they want to get anything done. So I learned a long time ago that if I want to get anything done against hate crimes and hate criminals, I have to partner with the Sikh community, with Latinos, with Blacks, with the Asian communities, to both get strong hate crime legislation and then bring in someone who will actually go after the hate criminals. The current Attorney General, I have 30 years of experience. He literally brought 0 years of law enforcement experience before he became our chief law enforcement officer. 30 versus 0. It's part of the reason that he has a very good press conference, but when it comes to getting anything done, he has failed. You know, the recent situation we saw in Merced, California, where tragically a Sikh community, a Sikh family lost its life to someone who should never have been out of jail. Had that case been prosecuted correctly, that alleged criminal never is in position to do any harm to that Sikh family. And so, again, where I don't believe that we need to go back to the old policies of putting everyone in jail for 100 years, the true public safety threats have to be put behind bars. You need to both work with the Sikh community and all the other communities to go after the hate criminals, and as importantly, make sure that hate crimes are reported. Because too often I've seen, again, in the Jewish community, the Black and Latino and the Sikh community, that they will be the victims of hate crimes, but they don't go to law enforcement, either because they don't know who to go in law enforcement to report it, or they're even afraid that law enforcement will do nothing. Well, my message is very clear to all the hate criminals out there. I'm coming after you. And if you want to go ahead and do your hate crimes in this state, you will go to jail. And my message to all the victims out there is you no longer have to stay silent. If I become the Attorney General, the election is tomorrow, I will make it an absolute point to make sure their voices are heard and action is taken out in their respect.
Thank you for clarifying that. We appreciate your approach on this. Certainly, that is something that is reassuring for folks in our community to hear, especially like you mentioned, after the gruesome tragedy that took place in Merced for that Sikh family. You know, Mr. Hochman, in closing, I know we don't have a lot of time with you. Obviously, you have a very busy schedule. I'd love for you to tell us some of the personal connections you've formed with the Sikh community. You know, we've been seeing some pictures. I'd love to show those pictures again of you visiting various Sikh gurdwaras. You were in Yuba City this past weekend, but that's not the only Sikh temple you've been to. You know, tell us a little bit about how you've connected with this community and why they should cast a vote for you tomorrow.
You know, it's interesting is that this experience of going on this campaign has deepened my respect for the Sikh community, because I saw the enormous parallels between my upbringing and the values that the Sikh community espouses and embraces. So, for instance, when I was raised that family is a cornerstone of your existence, as it is in the Sikh community, but also that there's an obligation, not a choice, to give back to your community. And so often that is missing, quite honestly, in a lot of communities, but not in the Sikh community. And the notion that the community aspect is something that I think is just magnificent. I also was told and taught that if you save one life, it's as if you save the entire world. And so it means that there's a value with each and every person that you cannot disregard. And if you can somehow prevent a death or a tragedy from happening, that you're actually bringing justice to the world. And the last notion that I was taught was that basically charity and good deeds is a form of justice. The more charity, the more good deeds you do, you're making the world a better, a more just and better place. And that would be my goal as the California Attorney General, to work with the Sikh community and all communities across California to make California a more safe, secure, and just state.
Absolutely. Once again, thank you so much, Mr. Nathan Hochman, running for Attorney General for the state of California. Thank you for your time, and we wish you and your campaign the best of luck in tomorrow's election. We hope folks turn out in great numbers, despite the weather, should it come through in that regard. But have a good rest of your campaign today, and once again, good luck tomorrow. Sat Sri Akal.
Thank you very much.
Take care. ਇੱਥੇ ਇੱਕ ਛੋਟੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਲਈ ਰੁਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ ਦੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਰੇਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਖੜੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜਨਗੇ। ਵਾਂਸ ਅਗੇਨ ਕੈਲੀਫੋਰਨੀਆ 'ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਫੋਕਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਸਿਰਫ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦੀ ਗਿਣਤੀ ਇਸ ਸਟੇਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਪਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੀ, ਬਟ ਸਾਡੀ ਪੋਲੀਟੀਕਲ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੇ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਪਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੀ। ਤੇ ਇਸ ਇਨਵੋਲਵਮੈਂਟ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਕੈਂਡੀਡੇਟਸ ਕੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ, ਇਹਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਪੁੱਛਾਂਗੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਗੈਸਟ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ। ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਤੋਂ ਉਸ ਪਾਰ।